The question is that this House has considered fossil fuels and the increases in the cost of living. Derek Thomas.
Thank you, Sir Robert. And can I commend the member for Brighton Pavilion for securing this worthwhile and vital debate. And it comes after a year where the government was exercised about how we address the cost of living and how we address, or talking about, the need to address and to reduce the demand for energy in our homes. And I think we have the solution here in this very room. And I hope the Minister is listening carefully, because I know he'll be a man who wants to do some great work while he's in post. We know, everyone here knows and government knows, an effective way to reduce demand on fossil fuels, reduce cost of living pressures and reduce demand on energy more generally. And this is to improve the efficiency of our homes. I represent St Ives constituency. My introduction as an MP back in 2015 was that I was told I had the leakiest homes in the UK, possibly in Europe. That came at the time at the Paris Climate Agreement, where we agreed, committed as a nation, ratified the commitment to improve all our homes up to EPC grade C, rate C by 2030. I had a discussion yesterday with someone who's done some research on how much my constituents actually pay for energy compared to other parts of the country. And a part of my constituency is said, because of the bills they pay and the energy they use and the cost of their energy, is the most expensive place to live in the country. So it's really urgent. And I've raised this a number of times during the course of my time as an MP, and I believe that the solution is nowhere near as difficult as we might make it out to be. And I think actually for the Prime Minister, he'd be very interested in this topic, because fuel-poor homes work against the very vision that he set out on January 4th. I heard the reference from the member about the fact there was no mention in his speech about energy, etc., and other things. But actually, the Prime Minister did talk about attainment, and we know that fuel-poor homes hold back attainment. We know that he talks about the NHS and the pressure on the NHS. We know that fuel-poor homes contribute to poor health and well-being and increased demand on the NHS and on social care. We know, the Minister talked about, Prime Minister talked about inflation and people's incomes. We know that actually fuel-poor homes absorb disposable income from the families that we have described in the past as just about managing. And we know also that fuel-poor homes reduce the availability of homes to rent. And I'll go on a little bit at the end about why that is. And as I say, before the UK ratified this bold commitment to get homes down, up or down to EPC rating C, we already knew in this country the need to retrofit homes. It was well documented and well understood. ECO, the Energy Company Obligation, and Green Deals, etc., have sought to help and have, as we've heard, helped in a significant number of homes, but often it's a low-hanging fruit. It's the ones that are easiest to do, and probably the ones that are actually not. It's actually the ones, such as in my constituents and elsewhere in rural areas in particular, that need the focus much more deliberately. And so we need, and I ask the Minister to consider how this year can be spent with a much more focused and determined way to impact on this huge problem. The rocketing cost of energy to heat our homes must bring this into this vital issue into the forefront of government's mind. I would hope, as we've heard from, I believe it's the Secretary of State for BEIS, that there will be work done to help people reduce the energy demand in their homes. I hope that includes a determined effort to understand how we can effectively, quickly, and without wasting huge sums of money on subcontracts that a company in Scotland, for example, no, I don't wish to pick on Scotland, it's just an example in Cornwall, a company in Scotland will secure a huge government contract and then identify other companies further down the food chain to deliver these contracts, and unfortunately not very well, and we had a huge problem with that in the recent £2 billion that the government announced during the COVID time to address our homes. So there needs to be, as has been suggested, a very grassroots approach, maybe local authority-led, a street-by-street approach to identifying what can be done to improve the efficiency of the home, and then get on and do it and make sure that money is spent exactly where it's intended to be spent. So I intend to not speak for very long, Sir Robert, but I'd like the Minister to consider what can be said today in relation to the government's approach to improving our leaky homes, and I'm very happy to suggest a pilot in Cornwall. Cornwall Council have already suggested a pilot and have identified how much that would cost. It's quite a lot of money, but I think it's good to test the water and see if it can be achieved. Can the Minister say any more about what the government is planning to do about helping us to reduce the energy demand with our own homes, and will that include support them to retrofit and improve the efficiency of our homes? Can the Minister update the House on plans to modify the EPC rating? I led a debate sometime before Christmas last summer on the problem of affordable housing and how actually in Cornwall, and it will be true elsewhere, that it is the EPC rating, the Energy Performance Certificate, that is actually driving landlords to flip their homes from long lets to short-term lets, not because the law doesn't apply to a short-term let, but because it's not properly enforced, whereas it is much better enforced for long lets. But the problem isn't that people don't want to improve the efficiency of their homes. It's just the tool that we ask people to measure their homes by is just a computer says no very often. It doesn't truly achieve what we're trying to achieve, which is to improve the efficiency of our homes and improve or reduce the cost of them. And the current methodology around EPCs is flawed. And the government agreed, BEIS agreed, I believe in the summer of last year, that they would review the methodology and look at how we could improve that. I'd be interested to know what progress has been made on that, if not today, maybe in a letter following it. And as I say earlier, we know that fuel poor homes drive out availability of long lets, and that's exactly what's happening. We are still seeing across Cornwall landlords who cannot achieve the EPC rating E, let alone C, and so they're having to use the house for other purposes, and that needs to be addressed and needs to be addressed quickly. Certainly, yes.
I'm very grateful to my honourable friend for allowing me to intervene on an excellent speech he's making. On the subject of EPCs, has he also seen in his constituency what I've just discovered in my constituency, that a social landlord faced with the renovation cost to get their property up to make it legally lettable, EPC-E, has discovered that the cost is too great and is consequently proposing to sell the properties and evict the social tenants in a small village community where there will be no alternative provision?
Thank you for that intervention. That's exactly my experience and has been my experience for a number of years. And what is really tragic is I have parish councils contacting me in desperation because they fought long and hard many years ago to identify the very sites to have these homes built, to set aside these homes, only to find that they are being lost partly for this reason. And then as a result, these villages are being hollowed out because it's very difficult then to keep the post office open, even the GP surgery and the local schools. So there is an urgent need not to reduce our ambition in improving homes, but to understand how we can do it and how we can fund it properly. And that is absolutely the experience I've had across parts of my constituency. And it concerns me greatly. And I actually am not critical of the social landlords because, unfortunately, not unfortunately, but when I left school, I learnt to build homes. I built homes with blocks, cement and sand. Actually, if I was going out there today, there'll be lots of homes that were built exactly the same as we built them then, and the insulation put in has improved, but I would say that we're nowhere near enough making carbon neutral homes. So we can get there, and there's better ways of building, but actually the building trade has not moved on enough to catch up with what's needed. That's another debate maybe for another day. But can I just touch on the listed buildings problem? So, and I'm not sure this is true of elsewhere, but in Cornwall, we are working very hard to improve the quality of our homes, and a lot of them are listed buildings or are in conservation areas. And the request by the property owners is to put double glazing in, and you can get double glazing now that is very difficult to tell that it's not, can be in keeping with what is seen now in that building. But the flat answer is no, that can't be done. So we are retrofitting homes but not putting double glazing in homes that badly need energy efficiency measures. Can the Minister give some guidance to local authorities and maybe even to the Levelling Up Department about how we need to understand the modern need for homes to live in and how there are things that can be achieved to improve the quality of the homes while still retaining the beauty of them, but rather than just saying, no, this can't be done, you must spend a huge amount of money replacing your windows with windows that are exactly the same and no more efficient. And finally, will the Minister consider setting up a task force to look at the barriers that face households from installing renewable energy and storage infrastructure? Is it the cost of that to the household? Is it the barriers and the red tape put in place by the power distributors? Is it national grid restraints? I am constantly meeting with people who are frustrated because they want to put infrastructure in their homes, whether it's their business, their farm, their private home, and reasons are given why that can't be achieved, or the sheer cost of it is too great for them. Can the Minister look urgently at setting up some sort of task force that really gets to the nub of the issue and really unlocks the potential for renewable energy on individual homes to address the cost of heating that home, energising that home, and reducing the impact or the use of fossil fuels? Thank you, Sir Robert.